So I watched the Gladiator 2 trailer, and you know, seeing as Gladiator to me is pretty much one of the greatest films of the last 30 years, because it came out in 2000. So let's say 30 years, because now we're in 2024. So that's last 30 years is one of the greatest movies. People try to slight that movie, and say it's not as good as people say it is. Some people do that. Those people are out of their minds. It's a masterpiece. Gladiator with Russell Crowe, directed by Ridley Scott, with Hans Zimmer's music, which is also a masterpiece. The soundtrack is a masterpiece. The entire thing is a masterpiece. For me, it is the greatest sword and sandal movie of all time. I knew that they were making a Gladiator 2, and at a point they were talking about doing it in an existential way, where it was like in the afterlife, where they would bring Russell Crowe back and he's fighting against gods. And that's actually pretty damn interesting. So, at first when I heard it, I thought it was ridiculous. But then when I really sort of gave it some thoughts, I said, you know what? This is actually not such a bad idea. That would actually be pretty cool. So I wasn't against that. That didn't happen. And now I watched the trailer, and I didn't even know that Denzel Washington was in this thing. So I just saw it. I was like, oh, okay. This is the thing, guys. Am I excited about this, considering my reverence for the original film? Not really, no. And the reason why is I'm gonna break it down for you why. Because first of all, it cannot come close to part one. There are some basic things that they don't have, which means it can't come. I'm not saying that it's not even going to be in this. It's not going to come close to the first one. The first issue, numero uno, and it was evidence from Kingdom of Heaven. Kingdom of Heaven is better in terms of everything to do with the actual movie than Gladiator. Kingdom of Heaven, better script, better cinematography. Everything was amazing in Kingdom of Heaven. But the lead actor was Orlando Bloom, who was completely miscast. And everything fell apart because of the casting of Orlando Bloom as the lead character in Kingdom of Heaven. Rise a knight. That scene in and of itself, I remember watching that scene and thinking that, can you imagine if Russell Crowe was doing that scene? That scene would be a trailer. That's a trailer moment. It was a trailer moment for Orlando Bloom, but it didn't work. People underestimate the impact Russell Crowe had on Gladiator as an actor. You see, you don't have to like him. He's had many shenanigans and all this sort of stuff. This is what it is. You can't deny how amazing an actor that guy is when he's on form. You can't. Because it's the kind of charisma and not even charisma, it's just the energy that he brings to certain roles. Especially that, which I believe is his magnum opus, was Gladiator. I watched that film and I say, before this movie, nobody really knew who Russell Crowe really was. Like, he was around, but you didn't really know who he was. That was a star-making vehicle for it. His entire aura, the physicality, his intensity, the acting quality, the focus was astonishing. That's what took that movie to the next level. You build everything off that in Gladiator 1. It's built off Russell Crowe. The fact you didn't have Russell Crowe in Kingdom of Heaven means that everything else that was working so brilliantly around him didn't mean anything. There are scenes in Kingdom of Heaven that are so astounding that you could press pause on it and it's a picture that you could put on your wall. When the army is coming on the horizon to fight Salahuddin, to face Salahuddin, the Crusaders and everything with the cross, where the cross is shimmering. And I was looking at that scene when I was watching this thing. I was like, this is astonishing. Listen, man, don't play with Ridley Scott, Guys try to play with that guy. Don't play with Ridley Scott. Like, guys talk about Ridley Scott, he's old, he's whatever. Don't play with that guy. That guy, you're never replacing Ridley Scott. I want people to understand it. Like, you need to appreciate this guy while he's alive, because he's not replaceable. Like, there is nobody in the whole sea of directors that exist out there that is a smidge on what this man is capable of visually. His visuals are disgustingly good. They're disgusting. There are things in Prometheus that are disgusting. Like, they actually disgusted me in how amazing it looks. I said, this is filth. I saw it. I said, this is filth. Turn it off. I don't want to watch anymore. It was that good. I said, I don't want to watch it. It's filthy. Ridley Scott. That's what he does. That's what he brings to the table. That's what you call genius. That is artistic genius. But when you bring artistic genius and you match it with an actor who's bringing the game to the game, aka Russell Crowe in Gladiator, you've got a combustible object. You've got a combustible object. So when I was looking at this trailer, I said, who is this guy? Like, the lead actor that I was like, who is this? Do you know that you might as well have just gone and cast Charlie Hunnam? Because at least Charlie Hunnam would give you something, you know, a little bit more of that edge. And I'm talking about visuals now. Listen, the acting thing is a trailer. We don't know. We don't know. Let's watch it. But even from the trailer, I was like, man, this guy looks kind of clean. And that's my point. He looks kind of clean. Like, this guy looks like he could be in Beverly Hills 90210. He could be on a sitcom. He could be, looks kind of clean. Like, just, you need somebody with that edge to them. Which is why I was like, I'm watching it and thinking that, you know, you might as well just put Charlie Hunnam in there. Because for better or worse, you know he's going to give you that edge. You know what I'm saying? He's going to give you that edge. And what I mean is this. You've got to have someone that you hang a movie around. Because when I was watching the trailer and I see this guy opposite, what's his name? Denzel Washington. It sort of was wonky. It almost is as if Pedro Pascal is actually messing this guy up because Pedro Pascal brings the edge. We know he did from Game of Thrones. He brings the edge. And he's also a very good actor. So when you now put him in there, it messes things up because then you've got a guy who's bringing edge to it and you've got somebody else who you're like, wait a minute, is this guy going to carry this whole movie? It's brought back the Orlando Bloom vibes because I was like, look, at the end of the day, for a movie like this, that is kind of what you need. Now, that aside, looking at the trailer, and I've said this from day one, people can disagree with me all they like. Ridley Scott is one of the greatest filmmakers in the history of movies. It's hands down. Like, I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. This man is a genius. And also, guys who were trying to save Villeneuve is not in the same galaxy as Ridley Scott. So when they say, I'm not saying that he's not in the same ballpark. He's not in the same. You have to go to a different galaxy. You need to get into a spaceship like Star Trek and use that's, you know, warp speed. When the guy says use warp speed, you need to use warp speed and go to a different galaxy to find Ridley Scott if you're Villeneuve, because it's in a different galaxy. The galaxy that Ridley Scott is in is the same galaxy where you find Spielberg, James Cameron, George Miller. Why? Who I just put in there because George Miller, I was sleeping on that guy till I went and watched 3,000 Years of Longing. I'm going to do a video about that because, guys, that movie is a masterpiece. To the neck. 1,000 Years of Longing. We're going to talk about that. George Miller's in that galaxy. Guys like that, you know what I'm saying? Spielberg, Cameron, George Lucas is there by default because of Star Wars. Not that he's directing, but he's there by default. That's where Ridley Scott resides. He's not his levels haven't dropped. You understand what I'm saying? So everybody try to insult Ridley Scott. Don't even insult him on this thread of this video. His levels haven't dropped. The issue with all of these movies that people say are bad, they're not good, it's the scripts. It's not him. Yes, we could argue that, oh, he's picking the wrong scripts. We could argue that. You could argue that, oh, he's the one who has to decide on what the script is. Okay, fine. I will concede. That is to a degree true. He should be picking, blah, 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 blah. But when I watch Napoleon, for example, because listen, I'm a Ridley Scott. I like Ridley Scott. I go and watch his movies regardless of what people say. So I watched Napoleon, and I'm looking at this movie, and I'm like, this movie looks fantastic. Like, it looks amazing. Like some of the battle scenes and some of the things going on here, I'm like, there is nobody who can make this. Nobody can direct action sequences this visually arresting. James Cameron is amazing in my opinion, James Cameron is the best action director stroke John McTiernan. It's a toss-up, but I give it to James Cameron because he does high concept stuff. John McTiernan is really grounded action, but John McTiernan it's a tussle between those guys. Martin Campbell, special mention, Martin Campbell. GoldenEye, Casino Royale, special mention. But when it comes to action, things, it is what it is. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying that when I'm looking at that Gladiator 2 trailer, guys, that action looks on point. When that guy falls into the water and then you see the arrows and the things that, I'm like, this is Ridley Scott doing what he does. Now the question is that script going to be on point? Because I saw the screenwriter is the same person that did Napoleon. So I'm like, okay, I mean, maybe is this going to be better? I don't know. On top of that, like I said, the lead actor, I was like, well, I don't know who this is, so I can't even call it. But just from looking at the trailer, I was like, listen, man, and you're talking, listen, I'm making this video because of how big a deal Gladiator is in my filmography. Like it's a very, very important seminal movie for Sword and Sandal. It is the benchmark for Sword and Sandal movies. It is the benchmark. That movie laid the foundation for 300 that Snyder has been eating off for like his entire career. Gladiator laid the foundation for that. Point blank period. You could even argue that what's his name? Frank Miller. The connection between 300, the comic book, and Gladiator, the movie. You know what I'm saying? You can actually see the DNA in there. You know, you can see the DNA in there because 300 came out as a comic book before Gladiator. When you read that comic, but then you watch Gladiator in 2000, you know, I think 300 was 98. Gladiator was 2000. And then 300 came out in, when did that come out? I don't even know, 2009, 2008, something like that. 2000, when did Gladiator? When did 300? 300 came out in 2007. 300 came out in 2007. At the end of the day, the trailer, and when I think about these things, this is how I feel about it. You have a trailer that you're trying to bring out for a movie that is a sequel for a movie that's a classic that came out 24 years ago. At the time this movie comes out, it'll be 25 years. The actor who made this thing happen isn't in it, Russell Crowe, who really excited that movie. You remember in that movie, you also had a guy called Oliver Reed. Oliver Reed is a disgustingly good actor. Like, disgusting. Guys, give me a second. Yeah, let me check this out. Richard Harris. Richard Harris is an all-time great. Richard Harris is an all-time great. So you've got Richard Harris in this movie, Oliver Reed, who is a classic Shakespeare actor, and Russell Crowe in the movie, and Ridley Scott at the top of his game. Guys, what are we talking about? And then Hans Zimmer, like I said, the music is a masterpiece. I listened to Gladiator soundtrack today. Not back in the day, not in ancient history. I listen to that thing constantly. It's on rotation in my Rolodex of music. Gladiator soundtrack by Hans Zimmer. If you've not heard it, go and listen to that. It is a modern classic. It's like listening to classical music from hundreds of, like 100 to 500 years ago, or whatever it is, Mozart, but you're listening to it by a guy who made this thing in like 2000. So when I'm looking at a trailer and you're playing rap music, Jay-Z, what again to a king, it's Kanye West and Jay-Z. Guys, the way that I view this is like, you've got to dictate the game when you're great. When you're a legend, you dictate to the game what the game is. You tell the youth, this is how this is done. You don't pander to these people and start putting rap music to try and appeal to them. What has rap music got to do with? I mean, that's my view on it. I was like, there's no need to have this. I know that there's a lot of racist people out there who will see that, and because Denzel Washington is in it, they have a short circuit. You see, the problem with them, and this is how the people short circuit in the fandom. There are some black actors who are so good and so established, like Samuel L. Jackson, Jamie Foxx, Denzel Washington, Forrest Whitaker, these sort of guys, and Morgan Freeman, who they're so established and so good, and they've done so many movies that everybody loves, that the racist, bigoted fans out there short circuits when they want to be racist about them, about something, but those guys are the ones in the movie. So their brains don't know how to react to it because you're going to be racist against Samuel L. Jackson. People just be looking at you because he's been in so many, he's Nick Fury. Like, it's like all of this sort of stuff. They will have a problem with it. That's what I was seeing in the comment section with Denzel Washington in this movie, and they were playing rap music. I could see people short-circuiting in the comment section and saying that, oh, because a black guy is in it, that's why they've got rap, but. And I'm like, guys, calm down. The reality is true. I agree with the sentiment. Rap music shouldn't be in a Gladiator trailer. It shouldn't be anywhere near Gladiator. This is from Roman times. It's historical. I should be hearing the most amazing classical track ever heard. That's what I should be hearing. Like, I shouldn't hear any of this sort of rap music. I get it. I don't disagree with that philosophy. I don't disagree with that philosophy. However, the reason has nothing to do with race, because they're not marketing this to a black community. That's for sure. They're marketing it to youth. And hip hop, in case you missed that, is the biggest genre in the white youth. In case you missed that, most of the records and streams and stuff are white people stream. Like, those are the people who are, you see what I'm saying? So the reason for putting hip hop in it is actually not to market it to black people. It's to market to white people, young people. It's about age, not race. And my problem with that is that, do you really think Gladiator 2 is going to compete with Fast and the Furious and all of these other things that these kids are into, or even TikTok and YouTube and Instagram content creators and streamers? You're not competing with these people if you're going head to head with them. You're not. What you've got to do, which is the reason why all these Beverly Hills Cop and Ghostbusters and everybody, they go overboard with this nostalgia thing. You've got to get the original fans of the material on board first. Guys like me. I'm your primary audience. Guys like me. I'm the guy that you need to get on lock for Gladiator 2 first. We take our children to watch it and we tell our children that, listen, you're coming with us. You're coming to watch Gladiator 2 because you need to understand what quality is. That's how it works. That's how it works. You get the main fans on lock first. That's the reason why I keep saying that Cobra Kai is the greatest reboot in the modern era. I've never seen a reboot as good as Cobra Kai in my life. That thing nailed it. As far as paying homage to the original material. So you pay homage to that, pay homage, and then you bring in new guys through the old guys. But the beauty about Cobra Kai is that the main characters are still the main characters. It's still Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso. They're still the main characters. You see the way other people would do it? They'd make them background guys who just pop in to introduce to the young guys who are running things. That's not how Cobra Kai does it. And also, they make sure that all the storylines of the old guys that we care about are brought back in and done justice through the kids. So all of those things, they don't just throw it away. It's a very direct connection. So if you're a Karate Kid fan, it's like one of the best things that you've ever seen in your life. That's the reason why they've had 6 seasons. You don't get 6 seasons out of nowhere. It's because the fan base loved it and it's brought in new fans. They could easily now start making movies out of Cobra Kai. Easily. Lower budget. They don't have to spend a lot of money. They're going to have fans. I'll watch it because they did a really, really good job with that. And again, what I'm saying is that I'm not comparing Cobra Kai as a franchise to Gladiator. Obviously, I mean, Gladiator's on a whole other level in terms of sophistication. But my point is like, Cobra Kai did what Star Wars didn't do and isn't doing and hasn't done. Star Wars is like they hate the fans. That's what it feels like. It's like you're antagonizing your own fan base. I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to bring that up. It'll make me annoyed. But the point is that you don't want to make your fans feel angry and feel like they're being attacked or not being respected. Flirting with that with Gladiator 2 trailer when you start throwing rap music in there, because most of the guys who are fans of Gladiator are middle-aged men. It was a man's movie, that's for sure. I mean, women liked it because of Russell Crowe, but really it was a guy's thing, you know what I mean, really. And guys are like middle-aged dudes now. A lot of these guys are like, they're not looking at this thing to listen to rap. They're looking at it because this was like a classic film. That's what I'm thinking. So when I see that, it makes me worried because I'm worried that you're trying to pander to a community that we know are fickle. They're fickle. They're not reliable. They will not go to the cinema to support this. You cannot rely on them. You need to go through your main core audience, and that audience will bring you the new people. That is what I feel about this. But regardless, guys, those are my thoughts. I know that I go in depth with some of these things, but this is talk back. For those guys who know the Merc, talk back, like this is how it is. We take it to the next levels. And seeing as I'm now doing these videos again, I'm back from the depths. Where you call hell, I call home.